I'm back with another tire video. If you are new to the channel, this is not a tire channel. This channel is dedicated to small wheel bicycles, rideables, scooters, motorcycles, anything that rides on small wheels. If this is an area of interest, you may want to subscribe. Also, please check out the links I placed below. I have a whole bunch of links, growing list in the description section to a variety of products which I support and have used, as well as some other resources. Start by correcting some incorrect information I gave in past videos. I made a terrible mistake. I was measuring the distance in the brake caliper itself, and I said that the bike can take a 2-inch wide Big Apple tire, and all you need to do is get a different rim, because the Big Apple comes in a smaller diameter. It measures 305 millimeters rather than the Brompton's native 345. Well, it turns out the bike cannot take a Big Apple tire in the front unless you replace the fork, and here is why. Because as it turns out, the fork is narrower than the brake in front of it, and I was stupid enough to not recognize it. And so here is the correction. This is more of a close-up. You can see that the real width of the fork is less than 1.75 inches. So the maximum tire size you would be able to fit would be something like a 1.7. A 1.6 you would definitely be able to fit, maybe a 1.7 as well. But there are no such tires on the market. The biggest tire we have is a 1.5. So this is a correction. And when you look at the rear is actually even tinier. This thing, I also measured the rear. And you can see me writing it here. It hardly has any space in the fork. The problem is not the brake. The problem is the fork of the rear triangle. I said fork, it's not really a fork, it's a triangle. So it's actually narrower than the front fork. You would only be able to fit a 1.5 into this one. 1.6 would probably rub. So that's how tight it is. We really cannot cram a bigger tire than the currently available 1.5 width into the Brompton bicycle. And here's what it looks like. This is the Green Speed Scorcher. This is the tire I have, although this is a lighter version of it. This is a beautifully modified, really cool looking, slick looking Brompton, just the way I like it. But the Scorcher he's using, it's a 16 by 1.5, but without the Kevlar support inside. So this is an extra light kind of a tire. This is the tire we are talking about. As it looks today, the website, I have a link below in the description section if you want to get a Scorcher tire. The one that I have has been discontinued. The new tire does not have a Kevlar belt in it, but in a very nice way, it's also much less expensive. And I just have the feeling that if you use your own Kevlar belt, that's actually better for everybody. It's easier on your pocket, and you can migrate the belt from tire to tire. You don't need to replace the belt as often as you replace the tire. So it's good for the environment as well, and it costs a lot less for you to do this. This is the only bigger, half a more or less comfortable tire that you can get to the Brompton. The only tires that are worth using with this bike are all Schwalbe tires, and they are either 1.35 or 1.20 or 1.25. This is a Schwalbe Kojak. It does the same thing as the tire I just recommended. It's totally smooth like the one I have, but it's much smaller, and the tire pressure has to be way up. We are talking about minimum 90 to 100 psi, so it's a really, really uncomfortable tire, but it's a very light tire. I personally don't see the point of getting a Schwalbe Kojak when you can have a really nice slick tire that is just as fast as the Kojak. So this is a This is a personal decision. It's certainly very hot looking tire, no question about it. It's pretty pricey as well. The Kojak is not a cheap tire. Kojak is a fairly expensive tire, at least in that version that the Brompton company made in collaboration with Schwalbe. This is something you buy. This was specifically made for the Brompton. If you buy the regular Kojak, that is a cheap tire. $30 is really not a lot of money. You see there's no thread on it, so this is not for wet weather. I have been riding this smooth no thread tire for about a year, and I find it to be very comfortable and very useful in any weather except if there is a rain. So you cannot ride it in the rain, but other than that, it's good for as a commuting tire, as a fun tire for scenic rides and so on. The size of it is 349. The official sizing of Brompton tires is 345, but 349 fits just as well. So you don't need to worry about the size too much. There are many 16-inch tires here that are rated as 16-inch. They do not fit the Brompton, not just because of the width, but because most of them are 305, not 345 or 349. So you have to be careful, and you have to check the millimeter markings on the tire. If you want an all-weather tire, the Marathon really has no equal. I usually use the Marathon Plus, but the much cheaper Marathon is also super puncture safe. I've never had a flat tire with it, but I clean my tire after each and every ride every day. You see the sizing is 349 millimeter. You have to be sure that you get the right size and not get a 305. This is a deep threaded tire, and for me it lasts for 2 whole years typically. I mean, I replace it when it starts coming apart. I've never had a flat with them. Just to show you the tires that you might actually accidentally get. You might think the Big Apple fits, but it does not fit, because you see this is 305. So you would have to replace the rim on the tire, which some people have done for the Brompton, but then you also have to replace the extremities. You will have to get a custom ultra wide fork and triangle, and those are typically sold because people want either more of a high-end hub gear in the rear, and or because they want disc brakes. And the disc brakes are obsolete in my opinion, but I will get to that in another video. So these are really the only top tires you can get for the Brompton if you want like a dry weather tire or a year-round tire. There's only one more I would recommend, and this is a winter tire, which is really not that expensive. And this is excellent not just if there is snow on the ground, but also if you have a really muddy or nasty off-road environment that you have to ride on. This is seriously an off-road tire. Not a very comfortable one, mind you. See, 349, this is the correct sizing. Interestingly enough, the PSI can go down 65. It's not nearly as comfortable as the Scorcher with the 40 PSI minimum, but it's actually rather soft. Still, because it's so extremely thick, it's not a comfortable ride. So if you're looking for comfort, this is not the tire to get. But this is a great tire for serious off-roading, or sand, or mud, or snow on the ground. So this is going to be it for today about tires, and I hope I have clarified the mistakes I have made in the beginning. So just to repeat, don't try to cram a Big Apple tire into the standard fork or rear triangle, because they are not going to fit. The biggest tire you can fit is this one, the Scorcher, and that's my favorite tire. It's my recommendation. Maybe you can use it during the warmer season, and then if you ride in the winter, you can switch over to a winter tire. Again, if this is an interest to you, the small wheel bike, you may want to subscribe and check out the links I have below. And this is it for today.